Hi, and welcome to Penny of Blood Podcast and Lucy. How are you?
I'm very well. Thank you for having me today. An honor to be here. Pleasure.
Oh, has been long time coming because I've been chasing you almost like a year or something. I'm so inspired what you and your wife have done in the property space because we try to emulate it as much as possible. So I think this interview will be very helpful for people that wants to do the same strategy, and plus I will learn a lot.
Bless you. Yeah, we've been like passing ships in the night trying to get this interview. Both busy schedules, hectic, but we've got there in the end. So
Yes.
yeah, I'm happy to come in, share the ride, share the journey, and if there's
Yeah.
any little tidbits for anyone out there, then that's what it's all about. So happy days.
So this signature is not only Ronaldinho, it's also Lucy's.
I reckon me and Steph pattern this. I'm going to put it out there. It's
So
not Ronaldinho.
we can start with that signature.
Yeah,
Why that
yeah.
signature?
Okay, yeah. So great question. So the Shaka, which is kind of something that me and Steph adopted quite early on when we started out in property, and we, I guess, created our brand. Ride is our brand, and it's all kind of really come from our values of travel, of fun, of adventure. We like doing things like snowboarding and skateboarding and wakeboarding and just basically being sideways, treading down mountains and on waves. But it was more of a just not really a recreational pastime, but more of like a way of life and a part of who we are and enjoying the ride. So remembering that it's not just happiness is not just a destination, right? It's a journey that we're all on together. So we keep that mindset quite close to us, and it helps us get through. So yeah, the Shaka, just enjoy the ride, enjoy what you're doing, live in the moment, and yeah, just keep smiling.
Wow, that was deep. I didn't think
I
it
know
was so deep.
we've kicked it off. We started at the deep end.
Okay. So everyone that doesn't know who you are, could you like do like yeah, tell you tell us your story? Who is
Yeah.
Lucy?
Well, okay. I'll try and keep it relatively short because we'll be here all day. But so I am half of Ride. So I co-own multiple businesses with my partner Steph. She's my wife and she's my partner in life and in crime. And across those businesses, we work in property development and property investment using a couple of different strategies. But yeah, I mean, it started for us about 3 years ago. We both serve in the military. So I actually left the military this year after 21 years.
Wow.
A big shift for me. Steph is still serving in the military, so she's a Navy GP, a doctor in the Navy, and yeah, we kind of became the accidental landlords, like lots of people in the military do, by being moved across the country. We picked up a couple of buy-to-let properties, not really knowing it, um, but yeah, I guess we kind of got to the point in our lives together where we were just looking for more. In the military, it's an amazing career. It gives you so many opportunities, and it's made me the person I am today without a shadow of a doubt. But um, there was a catalyst about 3 years ago where Steph was meant to be going off for a couple of months around the Mediterranean. So she was deploying on a ship for a couple of months. But what was going on in the world at the time meant that that trip went from a couple of months to a year out to the Far East. So, yeah, so at that time, I'd had a really nasty shoulder injury. I was competing out of the British Championships at snowboarding. So we
Oh.
spend a lot of time doing that. And I needed some surgery on my shoulder. I was flying back into the UK after this nasty accident, and Steph was on the other side of the world. I was miserable on this side of the world with one arm, incapacitated. My partner was away. There's that kind of distressful situation that made us kind of look within ourselves and question, is this what we want going forward? Or do we want to try and find a life that we're able to be in charge of our own destiny, set out our own path? And we started just exploring wealth building opportunities and strategies that we could kind of do that, really. And we spent the last 2 or 3 years then building a parachute. A saying that I first heard, I think, of from Kevin McDonald, build the parachute before you take the jump. And that's what we did. So yeah, I mean, I could go into lots of different angles off the back of that, but just a little bit about, it's me, that's Steph. We're married. We live down in Devon, in the beautiful ocean city that is Plymouth, down in the southwest, way down in the southwest of the UK. We love snowboarding, we love surfing, we love traveling, we love adventure, and we love property. And now I'm doing it full time, and we're enjoying the ride as we go.
I love it. So one question that me and my fiance had was, how do you separate business and relationship? Because like you're literally doing everything together and you're living together, and like everything is like together.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, that's a good question. And I mean, I guess we're quite lucky because we like spending time together. We've been together since we got together back in 2010, and luckily we enjoy each other's company still. And I guess property is difficult. There's some serious challenges that we have to try and overcome. It's not a bed of roses, and I never kind of make out it is. And I feel so like blessed and fortunate that I get to share that journey with Steph. Even though Steph is still serving in the military, she's still now got 9 to 5. So I guess every single moment of the day together, really, we're either talking about business, creating our future together, or we're doing the fun stuff that we enjoy together. So yeah, I guess we are. It is full on, and I don't really think we do separate it out at all. But luckily for us, that works. But I can see how for some people it can be challenging. But for me, I'm just so glad that I've got somebody to share that journey with, because I know lots of people that their partners don't share the same passion, or they don't really get it, and it can be a really lonely game. It can be a lonely business. So I think what we try to do, it's more about kind of not letting like business take over absolutely everything, and making sure that we have time to decompress, to do the things that we love, to take the dogs out to onto Dartmoor and go and enjoy a bit of nature, and have that time for ourselves to decompress in and amongst the craziness, and especially when you're trying to do it with a full-time job as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, in terms of separating out, I don't think we're very good at that.
No, yeah, it's a bit like me and her. We also, but it's always interesting to ask people that are doing the same and are doing it with their partner. So my following question: let's say if you have a deal, and let's say if one of you don't agree, do you still follow through, or how do you do it?
So I think, again, like, we are fortunate that me and Steph both possess very, very different skill sets. So therefore we dovetail each other really well. There's things that Steph is really, really good at, that I'm definitely not, and I would, trust her kind of skill set with that completely, and vice versa. So I think we are quite fortunate in the respect that we can bring those skill sets together, and we trust each other on our own preferred skill sets. So I think to date we've not really come up against that yet. I'm certainly more of an emotional kind of investor, I guess, whereas Steph is a lot more analytical, a lot more kind of strategic. She'll sit back and she's, she'll work through things, where I'm a bit more like, let's just get out there and do it. And so Steph is the weights and measures which I need to bring me back down, and likewise, I'm the one that will push forwards. In times where maybe Steph's not necessarily in that same place. So it works out well.
That sounds a bit like me, and Steph sounds like like Emily.
I
Okay.
think if we were both the same, I think then yeah, there'd potentially be kind of friction there. I could see, especially in the stressful world that is property and business. But luckily, we have different skill sets, which works well.
Yeah, perfect. So literally, I saw, like you mentioned, 3 years ago, I saw your ride when you started. I think the first course you took, but you can correct me if I'm wrong, was the No Money Down. We took it as well.
Yeah.
And I just saw like how you scaled the rent to rent, and then you started to, correct me if I'm wrong again, purchasing property and then going into development. So why did you start that? Like, if you could go through that journey, and why and how, and
So so we did the Masopi. So that was when we were in our educational phase of our journey. We were starting to get to networking gigs, and we were going to the property seminars to be introduced to these different ways and strategies in which you could utilize property to make money. And off the back of the Masopi, so the multiple streams of income seminar that we went to, the No Money Down course at the time, the rent to rent HMO strategy was one that kind of resonated with us quite heavily at that particular point in our journey, because we discovered that you could leverage other people's property in order to bring cash flow, and that the only real ceiling was the amount of effort that you were willing to put in. So, and the other great thing about kind of the rent to rent game is that you don't have to have loads of capital to put in straight away at the front end. So that was something that kind of appealed to us, and we jumped in headfirst, like most things, and we went from 0 to 50 rent to rent HMO units within 6 months during COVID, which was a massive whirlwind. And we started to bring in service accommodation, rent to rent units as well during that time. And then we also converted one of our own buy-to-lets into an SA unit. So we were in and amongst the property management, the tactical details of property, starting to build relationships with different trades, and starting to understand how having a team around you is very, very important, but also how to systemize and understand processes in order to try and make your life easier. And it was a whirlwind. It was a busy kind of 12 to then 18 months of doing that. We had a lot of reflection time where maybe we'd scaled a little bit too quickly, and that meant we probably didn't have the right amount of time to kind of reflect back on that and learn lessons from the mistakes that we were making. So we just kept making the same lessons and mistakes over and over again in a hard way. But we are all about reflection and kind of looking back and see where we went wrong and where we can put things right to go forward. And yeah, that was kind of that stage of that journey. And then we found our first commercial to residential development project last year, back in the spring of last year. And that was kind of a revelation really for both me and Steph, that like, wow, this is super cool, because we can learn all the things that we'd learned from the rent to rent game. We now had a platform where we'd utilized social media at that point quite well, I think, in the early days. And we built up a little bit of an audience of people that knew, like, and trusted us, which helped when we were looking for private investment, which was good. It gave us loads of rent to rent game, gave us loads of confidence. And we started to build up local relationships with people. And yeah, it was like the next the next rung in the ladder for us, to jump into the world of property development, and a whole new chapter, lots of more lessons that were learned, lots more challenges that came. But ultimately for us, the reward far, far greater. And yeah, I mean, the project that we just finished back in June, that was it was 12 months. It was really full on. In hindsight, we probably should have done it over 18 months. And just for context, it was an old care home, 500-meter square building that we converted into 6 individual flats, mainly 2 beds and a separate coach house. So it was quite a big first project for our first commercial to resi.
Yeah.
But we jumped in head first again, as you know, there's a bit of a pattern there. And it was a great first project. It exposed us to the world of commercial finance, of private investors, of the world of construction. And even though, again, we made loads of lessons, we made loads of kind of mistakes, they were all able to be mitigated throughout the process. And, we got through it, and, we successfully completed on it. So it was a great first project for us. All of our investors got nice tasty little bonuses. We got a really good profit margin out of it, and the best thing of all is we got to move in 7 new homeowners into brand new homes that we created for them, which was the
Yes.
absolute best feeling ever. So yeah, a kind of a bit of a it's been quite a busy 2 to 3
Yeah.
years. And we're always kind of looking forward, and we've got a few things going on at the minute. And but yeah, property development for us is certainly the path that we're now on.
Okay. So do you still have the rent to rent? So how have you ended those contracts? Or
Yeah, so the rent to rent, we made a conscious decision, as we started our commercial project, that we were going to reassign those units on, which actually worked out really, really well, because we got some nice finder's fees for all of them, so we made
yeah.
a nice little bit of money there. The investor that took them on was kind of relatively new to that game, so they got 8 HMO houses that were
Wow.
fully ready to go.
Yeah.
So that was good to be able to do that. And then the owners had a seamless transition, so it was win-win for everybody. And yeah, like I said, we made the conscious decision to change tact, and we realized that we wanted to put everything that we had into property development, building our own assets off the back of that. But we look back on the rent to rent kind of 18 months, with a lot of kind of fond memories of that. Even though it was challenging, it was the start of our property journey, and it put us to where we are now, which yeah, is what it's all about, I guess.
Yeah. So you mentioned now when you're doing a development, are you gonna do flips, or are you gonna retain some properties now? I know the first project was you sold them all, but like the next one, and like heading into, like, they're saying we're in a recession now.
Yeah, yeah.
Officially.
It's official.
Yeah, it's official. What are your thoughts moving
So
forward?
I mean, on the development that we were just chatting about, we did actually keep one of those units.
Oh.
Yeah, we managed to keep one of them, the best one. It wasn't ever the intention, but out of the 7, we had one of the sales fall through fairly late on, in the process, and we made the decision there, let's keep this one, because this would lend itself really nicely to service accommodation.
Yeah.
It was the penthouse, it was the nicest one. We were super proud of it, so we said, let's move that across into our investment company from the development company and keep that as a long-term hold, which was great for us. And it's just something nice to hold on to off the back of that first project. But yeah, certainly moving forward, we're going through some conveyancing at the minute. We've got a couple of things going through slowly with obviously like lenders at the minute and the property industry as it is, but nevertheless moving forwards. And we've got two going through at the minute, and they're both going to be to hold. One is it's fairly straightforward. It's fully tenanted. It's a mixed use of commercial and resi, and that's just cash flows really nicely from day one. And the other one is going to be more of a BRR. It's a 4-bed mid terrace that we're going to turn into a 5-bed SA, create some parking at the rear, and again that will cash flow really nicely. So we're going to be working with some private investors on that one. And yeah, going forward, I think with regards to what's happening in the market, none of us have got a crystal ball. I mean, no. I must admit, I try and take the news with a pinch of salt as much as I can. I think there's a lot of scaremongering that goes on. There's a lot of doom and gloom, and I think we have to just try and stay objective with it and keep an open mind that rates have gone up, but they've gone up from nothing. So it's that was never going to last in a million years. Granted, the mini budget didn't really help us, and it's caused a bit of a spike. Probably a little bit earlier than it should have been, and a bit steeper. But I think ultimately, I think if you buy the right property, you do the right due diligence, you have the right people around you, you've got the right exit set up for that particular property, you've got a backup exit set up, your numbers work, then for us, nothing is really changing. I think it's a good time to double down on systems, on processes, on making sure you're super tight across the board. Working with investors, and kind of being ready and being poised. If there is a correction coming, which no doubt, there is going to be a correction next year that's already started. I'm already having agents now ringing me, trades are ringing. Like you can see that people are now starting to pick up the phone again.
Yeah, exactly.
you can see that shift is happening. So I think if you've got a good team, you've got good processes, you've got funding options both in terms of commercial, and you've got a good bank of private investors. I think it's obviously there's going to be challenges along the way, but I think there's some good opportunities to come.
So you mentioned you had a commercial tenant. May I ask what type of tenant it is? Like what industry?
Yeah, so the one that's going through at the minute, that's it's 2 retail commercial units on the high street. So they're both fully tenanted, and there's 4 residential flats over the top. But yeah, it's retail, it's high street. Okay. on the ground floor. So, there is a little bit of uncertainty. Clearly we're going into a recession, but at the end of the day, we can only work with what we can work with, and it's as long as you've got your contingencies in place and you've got your backup plans, then I think we're all going to be suffering to a certain extent across society, but I don't believe it's going to last.
Yeah,
I think it'll be short-lived.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one. So one thing that I will be I think the listeners and people from our master group ask as well is, how have you structured your empire, like a company base? Because you mentioned you have development, you have one investment company, and I don't know if you have another holding company or
So we used to have a linear structure with subsidiary companies underneath, and but we recently changed it to a group structure. So we've got our holding company, which is Ride Investments Group at the top. We have our development company, Ride Developments SW, and then we have our investment company, Ride Property Investment Group. We've also we're actually in the process of closing down the more of the management side, because we're looking to move away from that. But going forward, if we were going to be doing JVs with people, we're looking at a potential JV option at the minute of setting up a brand new SPV, utilising our investment company as the entity for that. But yeah, we have the group structure with the holding company at the top, which works nicely. And for the last development that we did, we developed out in our development company, and when we then decided to keep one of the units, we were able to send it across without having to pay the stamp duty on it again. So it's a really tax efficient way of doing things.
Yeah.
And again, like intercompany loans between the two then is much more efficient.
Yeah. And how was the lenders when you did the development company? Did they take a charge of like the top or on just on the development company?
Yeah, just on the development company.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
good.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. Luckily, no other kind of debentures anywhere else or anything like that on that particular setup.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Okay.
I do appreciate some lenders don't like it, some don't mind, and I guess it's just going to the lenders that do like it.
Yeah.
You're not no one size fits all, I guess.
Yeah, I know. That's the thing, every time when people ask me here in Sweden, like, yeah, so what are the rules with the lenders? And it's a jungle because
Yeah,
one lender says this, and then
yeah,
another one say this, and then from out of the blue, when you have given them everything, they come up with something. Oh, you forgot about
yeah,
this, and we're like, but you didn't ask about that in the beginning. It wasn't
yeah.
in your, so it's just a
Oh,
jungle. While
yeah,
here in Sweden, people are more like, they when the lenders or company ask something, that's the thing that you need to give them, and like it's a broad across all banks. So
yeah,
there's no like in the UK where someone say this and someone say
yeah,
that. Yeah, sometimes it's good,
yeah.
sometimes it's bad.
Yeah, and this is it. I think yeah, sometimes you can take advantage of it, and sometimes you on the other end of it. And yeah, it's hopefully it kind of evens itself out, I guess. And
Yeah.
and having a good tax advisor and a good accountant to help you along the way is
Yes.
pivotal.
Yes, exactly. So you mentioned challenges. Um, Before you said you had a lot of challenges in rent to rent. What was the challenges that you had there, and now when you guys girls, sorry, moved into uh developments?
So I think the challenges with the rent to rent side of things is I think HMOs generally are quite challenging. I think you're having to deal with groups of people that don't necessarily always like each other, or they don't take responsibility for stuff. So you can kind of turn into a little bit of a mother, I think, at times. A shoulder to cry on and agony on, and but then you have the other side of it where I think that kind of property management is full on. You don't think you have to be on it. It is a 24-hour job, but to do it properly, especially in the current market and the way that things are going, people are struggling, and it's energy prices going up, and on the rent to rent side of things as well, you're having to absorb those costs. We did actually try. We had three property managers throughout our rent to rent experience, and we did try to put somebody in place so we could like step away from the day to day and then kind of like focus energies elsewhere. But we didn't quite get that over the line in order to try and take ourselves out of that particular the day-to-day tactical details of it.
Yeah.
We had everything. We had kind of drug dealers, that we'd taken on from like existing tenants that we could never get rid of, and tenants that didn't pay, and tenants that were beating other tenants up, and
Oh
it's
wow.
yeah, I think we had a bit of everything. I think we had a bit of it all. I mean, some of it was great, but there was definitely the challenges. I think sometimes not all landlords or owners of property are willing to invest into their buildings. So you kind of sometimes maybe feel like you're just putting a plaster over stuff because, you know, clearly your bottom line is your bottom line in rent to rent. You can't, you know, you haven't got big chunks of money that you can invest into the
Yeah.
property because it's not yours. So I think sometimes we struggled with that element of it more than anything.
Yeah.
But you know, but like I said, you know, I think there's the challenges that everybody goes through in rent to rent, and you know, it can be full on, and you do need to get your processes and your systems like down, you
Yeah.
know, to try and automate and systemize as much as you possibly can. But like I said, I think because we scaled quite quickly, like 0 to 50 in 6 months, like it was quick. And I
Yeah.
don't think we always gave ourselves enough time to get things as good as they could have been on
Yeah.
reflection. Um, so, and then, you know, in terms of the development side of things, I think, you know, for us, we had challenges where we went into our first project and we didn't, our development experience to that date mainly consisted of two up, two down refurbs, you know, rent to rent refurbs. We had no construction knowledge. We had no real insight into commercial finance, into VAT, into CIS. Like you know, there was a lot of things to learn very, very quickly. And, you know, there's the kind of the principal contractors aren't always the easiest, and you know the challenges that can arise from that if you don't necessarily see the red flags early. You know, if you're not experienced in that world, you can be caught out. So there was a lot of things kind of looking back where, you know, now looking forward, we learned the things, and you know, I don't regret any of those uh you know, areas that maybe we were caught out on a little bit, because actually that was the real growth, and that is
Yeah.
where now going forward we feel so empowered, and now knowledgeable, and now actually have lived and breathed that experience rather
Yeah.
than just listening to a podcast. Or not that you can't get loads of info from a podcast, but
It's
but
true. It's true.
you know, reading the books and listening to an audible about how you can be rich in like a week doing this particular strategy, and how it's all easy, and how you only have to give
Mm.
like 1 hour a week of your time to grow a property business, which is just BS. Like, we all know that.
Yes.
So but you know, my one of our kind of strengths is, you know, we feel the fear and do it anyway, and we have the courage to take the leap and do things. And I think that is where the real growth happens, and
Yes.
that's where we learn. And so yeah, so in a nutshell.
Great answer. Great answer. So you mentioned it sounds like you don't like HMOs then. So you prefer the SA instead of HMO. If you
Well, uh, so personally, yeah. So it's funny because now we have any of our properties, or our previous buy to lets that we maybe turned into SA, or any properties that we now will develop out and hold. We've actually got some of our properties now with rent to renters. So people that are
mm,
doing the long-term lease on our properties, because we see the massive benefit and value from that, and it allows us to be passive with our properties, and then we can go and focus on, you know, the next deal, building the next relationship, like, you know, finding the synergies out there that can benefit. So it's, you know, if that works for us really well, and we kind of have done like a 360 on that. We've done fully done a 360. But yeah, in terms of your question, yeah, I mean, I will probably kind of confirm now that I will not personally manage a HMO again. No, I'm not doing it. I like the I like the SA side of things, because you know, from personal experience, I think that you know, you can automate and systemize far easier on the SA model than you can the HMO model.
yeah.
You know, simply because, you know, kind of room inspections, kind of checking people in, checking people out, kind of you
Yeah.
have to physically be there a lot more.
Yeah.
And then you've got all the the kind of the personal element where there's problems and you become the agony aunt, and then you're trying to help people, and which I do like helping people, but you're a lot more involved in that side of things, trying to split people up that have been nicking each other's pizza in the fridge and stuff. It's like, but so from the SA side of things, I think it's a lot more transactional.
Yeah.
It's far easier to scale, in my opinion. And again, you can automate, you can systemize, and
Yeah.
you can pretty much be remote as long as you've got a decent cleaning team, you've got your linen sorted out, you've got a decent maintenance team. You don't really have to physically be there, as
Yeah.
obviously as every now and then, but you can be remote, which I like.
So moving forward, you mentioned that you're buying like a bit of like already done projects, like the 4 flats and 2 commercial downs. Is that moving forward, or will you still be doing heavy conversions like you
Yes.
did?
So that particular property, if hopefully we get that over the line, that's something that it cash flows really nicely from day one. It's a really good return for us. It's what we were looking for. We're very focused on building our asset base. And however, that particular building, although it is fully tenanted and it's in good condition, there's still lots of opportunity and scope for us to develop at the space at the rear of the property to build, to add on additional apartments. And even within the existing apartments, there's scope to improve. We could potentially look at like a service accommodation model later on down the line because of the location. So there's scope and there's opportunity, possibility with that project. And we've got a BRR kind of 4-bed that we're going to turn into a 5-bed SA house. We will likely give that to a renter for the long term, but again, it's a good cash flow. We've got a good deal on it. It's a great location, and it'll be held within our investment company.
Yeah.
And however, the second strategy is going off and finding opportunities. We're reconnecting with the commercial agents again. We're looking at the D2V side of things in terms of looking for land on opportunities for commercial to residential conversions, utilizing permitted development, which we're kind of analysing a couple at the minute, and we're in early negotiations on which. So to answer your question, we are very much looking for opportunity to go again with a development project. Sure.
Okay. Yeah, that's good. I will enjoy the ride and follow. So
yeah.
how important is social media? How has that been so important for you? Because I'm seeing how it exploded, how you just exploded. But yeah, you can tell the listeners and viewers.
Well, I think social media is such a valuable strategy, an asset if you use it in the right way. And I think in the early part of our property journey, we did jump on board with that. I did lots of lives and lots of kind of videos to try and help people. We documented our projects, our development projects, consistently across the whole year, really. And I think something that we're quite focused on is trying to document like the realities of the good and the bad, and being transparent and being authentic, and putting our personalities across and sharing the things that we love as well, and our hobbies and passions, and I think that creates a know, like, and trust that obviously that's a kind of saying that's said quite a lot, but it's true. I think if you can be yourself and you can be authentic, and people will relate to that,
Yeah.
your vibe attracts your tribe. And I think for us it's been invaluable. And I think we've had private investors reach out off the back of that, people that never even engaged in some of our stuff. We wouldn't even have known that they were following, but they were watching.
Yeah.
And I think more so when you do document the challenges as well, and the lessons that you've learned, and you're real, I think that resonates with people as well. And I think some people are quite worried to do that because we people think, oh my God, we have to be perfect and we have to, we
Yeah.
can't let anyone know that we made mistakes. But I think it's quite the opposite to that, really. So
Yeah.
yeah, I think social media has been great for us. I think it constantly evolves and it's difficult to try and keep on top of. But
Yes.
I feel like since I went full time in property, I've again now got a little bit more capacity. So I'm playing with the reels on Instagram at the minute, which I'm quite enjoying. Just to get the reach, I guess, just to kind of connect with people. And it's not necessarily ever for anything else, but maybe there's synergies in the future. There's it's not like
Yeah.
we don't have anything to sell, we don't go on a hard sell. People reach out for stuff, but we're doing what we're enjoying right now. And yeah, I think it's a valuable tool if you can do it. I know not everyone
Yeah.
likes social media, but it's kind of how we do business nowadays, right?
Yeah, I totally agree with you. And like you mentioned, people are following you, and then from out of the blue, I have some money to invest. Like,
Yeah,
oh, okay, you haven't even liked anything,
yeah.
but you will like. It's a bit creepy, but at the same time, it's good.
They're
uh,
the watchers. They're the watchers.
yeah,
The
they're the
silent watchers.
watchers. So, what platform do you prefer? Is it Instagram or which one?
So I'm playing around with Instagram at the minute, because that's where the reels are at. So I'm quite enjoying just playing around with those. Facebook is something that we've been quite consistent with, I think, over the last kind of couple of years. And LinkedIn, I'm not as good on LinkedIn, I must admit. I don't post on there massively. Every now and then I'll try and get some stuff out there. But again, there's been some good connections made on there, definitely. But yeah, it's I think even with your social media, if you can try and have some planning involved and try and preempt your stuff, which, to be honest, I'm not doing at the minute. I'm just ad hoc, just whenever, just trying to get it out there. We used to employ a VA to help us a little bit with that in the early days,
Yeah.
but that's not something that we have right now. So it is me doing it all, but I do enjoy it. And um, yeah, we'll see going forward. But
So
yeah, I think Instagram gets the favorite at the minute, I think.
yeah. So you mentioned that you used to have a VA before. So what did you outsource? And then following question to that is what programs and apps are a must-have?
Okay, so yeah, it's been a little while since we had any VAs. But we had a couple in the early days. We used to outsource things like the social media, where we would do the content, but they would do the scheduling and a little bit of the engagement, and would just help us with that, which was super super helpful.
Yeah.
Some of the tenant onboarding, so we created um, essentially like Loom videos that we used to share with our VA of how we would onboard, and we put it all into nice little kind of workable chunks. So tenant onboarding was something that they used to help us with, and just the day-to-day kind of email traffic. So yeah, I actually need to get a VA again. Saying it now, I need to get another VA to help. Um, but yeah, so I mean, we used to be quite good on the systems, with regards to the VA, and we used to use Loom, we used to use Slack, we still use Trello a lot. Actually, Steph is a big fan of Trello, of kind of getting everything down
Mm,
in a nice kind of strategic fashion.
yeah.
For forward planning. So yeah, Trello is a big one for us. I'm just trying to think what else we use at the minute. I'm just looking along my taskbar to see what's open, because you forget what you use on a day-to-day
Yeah, yeah,
basis.
I
Um,
know.
Form site I'm looking at the minute, which is a good bit of software. Mailchimp for the CRM, we use that.
Yes.
Um, Google Drive, obviously that's kind of, but yeah, there's yeah, apps, it's all about kind of time saving, isn't it? And trying to get everything just in some kind of order.
Yeah. So we're coming to the end now. I have three questions left. So one is, what tips would you give to someone who wants to do what you're doing? Yeah, that's the first question.
Okay. So my first tip would probably be don't be so hard on yourself. I think that's the first
Mm,
tip. I think sometimes we have to just embrace the struggle. Sometimes we are going to get things wrong, but we have to remember that that is where we grow. So I think
mm,
kind of not being so hard on yourself, because you know it is tough and it is stressful and you are going to get things wrong. But as long as you're making kind of incremental steps forward every single day, you know, then that is going to get you in the trajectory that you want to be in. And off the back of that, you know, try and not get stuck in analysis paralysis. Try, because we can download all the information, we can go to all the courses, we can listen to people, we can get mentored, we can, you know, do all that stuff. But if we don't take any action,
mm.
then we're never going to move forward. And that's something that we're a big advocate of, is just taking daily action. That's you know, you've got to just do it. Like just get it
Yeah,
done. Just do things. If it's just like getting a pen and paper and writing out 3 things before you go to bed at night that you need to do the next day, and just get them done. So yeah, taking big action. I think, you know, I think there's often a misconception that like having courage is the same as being fearless, but I truly believe that courage is accepting the fear and doing it anyway. So have courage in what you do, trust your intuition, trust the people around you, trust your skill sets, trust the education that you've had, and then just do things. Just take action.
that
Yeah, that
was
would be some tips.
yeah, that was great tips. So you hear listeners and viewers. So second question, what book or books would you recommend people to read?
Oh,
It can be property, it can be personal development, it can be whatever.
I think there's always a book that comes to mind to me straight away, and that is the Life Leverage book, um, by I think by Rob Moore.
Mm,
That was a book that I listened to in the early days of discovering property and business, and that probably changed a lot for me. Yeah, I think it's you know, just kind of recognizing that you don't have to do everything yourself, and
yeah,
actually you shouldn't do everything yourself, because you know there's people that are far more skillful at things than you are, that can do a far better job. um and I think it's kind of like just starting to appreciate, you know, who out there in the world can help me, um,
yeah,
and can make my life easier. So life leverage, you know, all the little ways of thinking of how you can make your life easier, and how you can move forward in a more efficient way. So yeah, life leverage, that was a good book for me. And
okay,
Rich Dad Poor Dad as well is probably a second. I mean, that, you know, that's the
yeah,
game
yeah,
changer.
yeah.
But yeah.
That's two good books, really good books. And there are on audio people as well if you don't like reading books. Uh,
Yeah,
so my
life leverage is listening to audibles and listening to podcasts, so you can do your net time.
yeah,
You can listen to it while you're running and doing exercise, or you know, driving,
yeah,
whatever.
yeah, I always do that.
Yeah, 100%.
So if you had unlimited funds, who would you have as a mentor?
Who would I have as a mentor? Oh, I think. Well, I think I would. Yeah, Karen Brady. I think for me, she
Mm-hmm,
is the epitome of a female powerhouse,
mm-hmm,
and she has constantly evolved herself throughout a whole life of business, um, and entrepreneurship an extremely male dominated environment. Um, you know, she was, you know, one of the directors at a, you know, a football club, for God's sake, and you know she just grows from chapter to chapter. And I think, yeah, she's incredibly inspiring because she's done everything. um you know, with having a family, with having to run normal day-to-day life as well. She's embraced the struggles, and she's hugely successful. So yeah, I think Karen Brady.
Karen Brady. That was a first, but
Oh, really?
like you said, yeah, no one's have said that, and I've had a lot of females. So I think majority of my guests are females.
Really?
Yeah. No, but
we,
yeah, okay.
She was meant to be at the EMC that's happening in London at the end of this month. Actually, she was meant to be one of the guest speakers I'm getting, it's 3 days in London, and she's apparently had to pull out, so I'm absolutely devastated. But that's the Entrepreneurs Marketing Conference, so it's going to be, I'm looking forward to it. But yeah, she was meant to be there. I was so close to meeting her. Now she's not. Devastated.
Next time.
Yeah, I'll have to visualize it's going to happen.
Yeah. So Lucy, this has been epic, and I have enjoyed the ride with you. If anyone wants to get hold of you, reach out, whatever, follow you, how can you do it?
Oh, okay. So, I mean, I'm on all the platforms. So, I'm on Instagram. So it's Lucy Ingram _ride. So I'm on there. I'm on Facebook, Lucy Ingram. I've got a page on there. I'm on LinkedIn, Lucy Ingram. We've got a website, which, if anyone's interested in the development side of things, which is ridedevelopmentsSW.com. And again, for the email, it's hello@ridedevelopmentsSW.com. And just one little thing for anyone that's watching, so I don't think we've mentioned it. There's like random boxes that I'm surrounded by. It's because I'm moving house tomorrow. So I don't normally have like just loads of random boxes in the background. So but yeah, if anyone wants to reach out, then please do. I'm always happy to, even if it's just to connect and say hi. I definitely believe that property is a people business, and it's all about the relationships that we form. And we're all in this together.
We are. It's a big property family, and I'm so grateful that you took the time to do this. So hopefully, when I go back to the UK, we might have a coffee or something. I'll reach out.
I would love that. Thank you for inviting me. Yeah, no, thank you for inviting me on. It's been a pleasure. And we finally got to do it.
We got it.
Yeah, pick the phone up when you're next in the UK, and we'll we can go surfing or something. We come down to Devon and we'll go surfing.
Oh wow, you need to teach me then. But I'm up for it.
Yeah, let's do it. I can teach you. It's all good.
So people, enjoy the ride and don't be stressed. Invest. Bye.